Good afternoon. I wanted to meet with you one more time to bring you again further updates on what's going on here in Anderson with respect to the coronavirus and the actions that we've been taking locally in the city of Anderson to help provide protections to you and your family and also our city employees. As we've discussed before, one of the most important things and duties that we have is to protect the safety of our citizens. So it is very important that we work in such a way as to make sure that you have the most protection that you possibly can have with this epidemic that we have going on right now in our community. It's also important for us to make sure that our employees that work here, that provide services on your behalf, are also protected. So today we've taken some steps to help accomplish those things, and I want to talk a little bit about that. But also I want to let you know that the city has also taken the step, as so many other communities have as well, of declaring today a local disaster emergency under Indiana state law. The law allows mayors within the various communities to declare a disaster emergency under certain sets of circumstances, which we certainly qualify for now. And by doing so, it puts us in a position for down the road when we start looking for possible reimbursement and other monetary assistance from our federal government, that they'll be able to see that we determined that this was an emergency situation and that we'll be able to qualify for those funds. That was the primary purpose of making this emergency declaration. But in addition to that, it also allows us to put into place certain travel restrictions to make sure that folks are not put out in public in such a way as they make themselves more likely to contract this disease than not. The state law allows mayors to be able to qualify this travel restriction in three different ways. One can be very strict, one can be relatively loose, and the other is sort of a middle ground. I, like many communities, have selected the middle ground at this point in time, and I'd like to just read you briefly what it says with respect to this watch of travel advisory. It says that all non-essential travel should be avoided, and of course we've been talking about that in the past, that making sure that whatever you're out doing in public, don't be out doing things in public that aren't necessary. There's really no reason to put yourself at risk. So traveling likewise should only be for essential reasons. This travel advisory does not affect you in terms of travel for the following purposes. You certainly can travel for medical care or to get diagnostic care or to help family members with regards to travel. You also can travel to provide assistance such as primary care for others that you're assisting and taking care of. You can travel for, of course, mandatory employment purposes and activities, and you also can travel to acquire food, groceries, medication, essential household goods, personal hygiene products, and also for food delivery to come to you, and also for our suppliers to receive retail products where they can resell them to you at a later point, including food pantries, grocery stores, and also pharmacies. So a lot of travel is allowed, but again, it's really pointing towards non-essential travel. And so that was issued today, and I want you to know that. And that does go into effect today, which is March 19th at 6 o'clock this evening. In addition to that, we have taken the step, a few days ago, we decided that we were going to leave our city facilities open and continue to provide our services, but with the restrictions continuing to come down from both federal and state government, and also with the continuing prospect of additional positive cases occurring here in Madison County, which at this present time we've had one, as you know, we have decided to temporarily close the facilities in order to protect folks from the possible spread and further spread of this virus, not only among employees but also among folks who may come and do business here in our city. At the same time, we want to make sure that we continue to provide the essential services that you hope to have provided to you by local government. And so I have directed that all of our city employees continue to report to work at City Hall and the other city facilities that we operate, but that simply we will not have the public coming into those buildings at this time. At the same time, we have made sure that you will have access to us by obviously telephone, through the internet, through our website, and other various methods. And you can visit www.cityofanderson.com and look at our website, and you can get some information on that. We have also put signs up at our various buildings, and I'm going to talk about those facilities in a minute that are directly affected. But City Hall, of course, is sort of the primary building of the City of Anderson, and we have posted on the outside of the doors, where you can see it as you walk up, this notice of what we're doing. But on top of it, we've also given a listing of each and every department and the primary phone numbers that you can use to dial in to be able to talk to folks. And I've given direction to my employees to make sure that there are live people there to answer the phone and to answer your questions and to deal with the issues that you might have. At the same time, they'll be able to walk you through various processes to attend to the numerous needs that you might have that you might have thought was necessary to be here in person, but then actually can get accomplished over the telephone or through the internet, and we'll assist you with that. A good example, of course, is the payment of utility bills. Most of us have utility bills that we concern ourselves about and pay on a monthly basis, and you need to know that you don't have to come into the building to do that. There's a lot of ways to get it done, and our website explains that, but I'd let you know right now that one of the best ways to do it is through our drive-through. Our drive-through will be open during our regular operating hours, and you'll be able to talk live to a person at that time if you need to exchange, for example, if you need to pay with cash or something of that sort, or if you have other questions, you can deal with that there as you go through the drive-through. After hours, we have two different deposit boxes that you can deposit your utility bills. One is right next to the window where you have the drive-through, and then there's one on 7th Street immediately in front of the utility office. It looks like a little post box office or a postal box, and you can drop your utility payment in there as well. In addition to that, you can of course pay online. And again, going to www.cityofanderson.com, there's a pay your utility bill button that you hit, and when you go through that, there's a pretty simple screen that you go through, and you can pay by e-check, you can pay by credit card or by debit card. There's also a new video that we just recently posted that was produced to help walk you through that. That's also on that website if you need additional help in figuring out how to do that. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. You can print out your receipt showing you've paid it when it's done, and it really is a lot better than having to come up here and standing in line. In addition to that, we have a method that you can call in your payment through a telephone number that it's also posted on the website, and it's also on our signage that we have on all of our doors. And if you use that method, presently they're accepting credit cards. So those are some ways that you can pay your bill. And of course, as I announced previously, while we want you to pay your bill if you can, it's important that you do. But at the same time, if for some reason you're having difficulty for a short period of time in getting paid timely or paying your bill, we're not doing utility cuts right now during this epidemic to make sure that folks have plenty of hot water and they're able to wash their hands, as we're asking you to do on a regular basis, and make sure that you stay safe again from this virus. But again, this is an example of some of the services that we have available that you can acquire without actually coming up into the building. In addition to the City Hall, we also have our Anderson Parks Department. The Geeter Center, for example, has a facility that we often use for programming. All that programming has been canceled at this time. When it reopens, we'll announce those reopenings to make sure that you can get signed back up for programs and so forth. But for now, in order, again, to protect the public and to protect our employees, those facilities are closed. Also, our Anderson Central Services Building, where we house a lot of our utility workers and street workers, those are closed to the public, but again, our employees will be working there. In addition, we have the CATS facilities. Now, CATS, which is our City of Anderson transit system, we are continuing to run at the present time both the Nifty Lift, which is done by appointment, and also our bus system, which runs on a regular schedule throughout the city throughout the week. That's going to continue to run. We do ask that if you are sick, if you are having symptoms of the flu, or certainly if you've been diagnosed with something indicating you should be self-quarantined, we would ask that you not ride the bus. We would ask the bus drivers to ask you not ride the bus if they would happen to notice that. I will tell you the good news is that it's being reported to me from our bus drivers that as of this point, over the last several days, we've not had any incidents of folks getting on the bus that appear to be infected. At the same time, our ridership is down, which is telling us that people are self-regulating, which is good because, again, we want to continue to use the social distancing that's been discussed to make sure that we have several feet between all of us. And I would ask if you get on a bus and there's several seats available that you obviously set in such a place that you're away from someone else. We've also taken steps to make sure that on a daily basis that our buses are sanitized each day before they're put back into service. If there's an incident on a bus during a particular trip that would appear that it needs sanitized after that, we are also sanitizing at that time as well. Also, we have, of course, our water pollution and water departments, which again, typically, most folks don't go visit, but they will be closed to the public at this time. Again, however, our workers will continue to work to make sure that you have clean and plentiful water, and at the same time that our wastewater is treated effectively to make sure that our discharges into White River are meet all the environmental standards. Our Anderson Fire Department and Anderson Police Department will continue to run. Anderson Fire Department, generally speaking, will be closed to the public, except there is a little vestibule area that you can walk into if you need to pay, for example, an ambulance bill. You'll be able to meet with somebody through a glass, and they will work with you to get that paid. But by and large, we're asking folks not to go to the Anderson Fire Department unless you have an emergency such as a safe haven issue, and if that happens, they will work with you on that. With regards to the Anderson Police Department also will continue to operate. However, there will be some limited services when it comes to for example, getting certain reports may take a little longer than usual. I will tell you that if you go up to the lobby area, you will be allowed in, but you won't be allowed into the building any further than that. You will be able to meet with somebody again through a glass, and they'll work with you. But there are certain services that at this time they're suspending. For example, they're not fingerprinting people right now because of the personal close contact they have to have with holding people's hands and so forth. But the best thing to do is to call the phone numbers that are associated with any one of those departments and ask them what it is. If you have a particular service you're looking for, ask them if they're providing that service at this time. That way you don't have to take an unnecessary trip yourself. With regards to the parks, like I said, the park facilities are closed. The parks themselves, in terms of the green space and so forth, are open. However, we are asking and we are prohibiting folks from using the playground equipment. We don't want folks, particularly young folks, to be climbing around on the playground equipment. It's something that we have so much of it, we can't sanitize it, and it could be a vehicle for the passing of germs. And so we've asked folks to restrict themselves there. But again, it's very important that while we take this serious and that we take all the necessary steps to make sure that we're well protected, at the same time, we don't want to feel like that we just can't do anything and we can't get out of our house. We want you to know you can get out, you can go out to the park, you can stretch your legs, but we just want to make sure that your social gatherings are limited to 10 or fewer people, and that no matter how many people you're around, you make sure you have this good this distance among yourselves to make sure that you're fully protected. At the same time, we are working with our employees to make sure that they remain as healthy as possible in order to ensure that day in, day out, as we go through this crisis, that we'll have services available. We ask that you guys continue to work with us in order to ensure that we're able to accomplish this task. I know you've been watching a lot of television in terms of the national media and the statewide media and so forth, and I know it's easy to get concerned and upset, and especially if you're in an economic situation with respect to your job and so forth. So again, working together, sticking together as a community, we'll get through this much quicker if we can try to follow the guidelines that the federal, the state, and local governments are putting out. And so I ask that you do that, and I just want to thank you again, and God bless all of you, your families, and of course, the great city of Anderson. Thank you.